Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you all for being here today. I also want to thank my fellow members, Mr. Doggett from Texas and Mr. Byer also from Virginia, as we join together to lift our voices to raise awareness about the alarming arrest of U.S. citizen and Virginia 10 constituent Asim Ghafoor in the UAE. Here in Northern Virginia, Asim is an active and beloved member of his local Muslim community and a board member for the nonprofit organization Democracy in the Arab World Now, or DAWN, which advocates for democratic reforms in the Middle East. He was also friends with and provided legal representation to Jamal Khashoggi, who was brutally murdered by Saudi officials in 2018. On July 14th, as Mr. Ghafoor was transiting through Dubai International Airport with his family, he was detained by UAE officials. Unbeknownst to him, he had been convicted in absentia of mysterious and currently unsubstantiated charges in the UAE. He was subsequently sentenced to 3 years in prison. Mr. Ghafoor was provided no information regarding his charges. He was given no opportunity to defend himself, and although he has a rehearing scheduled for August 1st, he has not been permitted to meet with his attorneys. Furthermore, it has been reported that Mr. Ghafoor has contracted COVID-19, and as a diabetic, he could suffer serious medical complications as a result. We do not know what, if any, medical care Mr. Ghafoor is receiving, and we are very concerned by the UAE's refusal to allow Mr. Ghafoor to speak with or see his attorneys or his consular services. It is deeply alarming, and given Mr. Ghafoor's role as a civil rights attorney and well-known advocate for democracy in the Arab world, it is deeply suspicious. I, along with many other members, have called for greater transparency into Mr. Ghafoor's detention and have advocated for fair treatment and due process. Today we reiterate those basic demands and to guarantee Asim Ghafoor's health and safety, that he be granted immediate access to counsel, consular services, and his family, that the UAE ensure that he will receive humane treatment and fair treatment, including immediate access to required medical care, and third, that he be released on bail while he is awaiting his trial. In my district and all across the country, members have received outreach from concerned constituents who either know Mr. Ghafoor personally, who have heard his story and fear for his safety. I want to thank all those who have helped us shine a light on this case. We share those concerns, and we are here today to join you in your advocacy. Asim Ghafoor deserves fair treatment, he deserves real access to consular and legal resources, and he deserves to be released while he awaits trial. We will continue until we have the answers that we are demanding, and we will continue working with the State Department and embassy officials to ensure Mr. Ghafoor has the rights he deserves. And finally, I encourage all of you to continue lifting up your voices and shining the light on the injustices being done to Asim Ghafoor. Your advocacy is powerful and is so needed in this moment. I want to thank everybody for being here. I do have a couple updates. Very recently, yesterday I believe it was, Mr. Ghafoor was able to make a phone call to a local relative of his, very brief local phone call, and when that relative attempted to connect him to his attorneys, the call was cut off. Then also, I believe yesterday, or maybe earlier today, he was allowed to have a 3-minute phone call with his attorneys. Now, that was not a substantive phone call. They did not get into the substance of his case. My understanding is that attorney cannot enter his appearance on his behalf until he receives a signed paper from Asim, which he has not been able to get to him to explain what that is. So, at this point, Asim is supposed to have his retrial on Monday, and he hasn't had any access to his attorneys. So this is something we're demanding that he receive as just a matter of basic due process. Thank you very much, and I'll now toss it to Don Byer to say a few things.